Hello and welcome to Films for the Very First Time, Season 3.0. My name is Jordan. With me, as always, on this journey as we fill in each other's uh, missing pieces of cinema lore and history is Casey McGeorge. How are you today, Casey?
Oh, how's it going, everybody? It's good to be back.
It is. We take a nice little 3 month hiatus, however long it is, and then we start recording again. Um, but yeah, so we are back. It's been a bit. Did you watch a lot of movies in the gap here?
I watched a few. I've got to see a few. I did go to see. When was the last time we were on the pod?
It was we recorded it, I believe, in May, and then it went to it stopped releasing in July. That's
Let,
how far ahead
see.
we were.
Let's see. I've seen Final Destination since then. Um, I saw Naked Gun in the theater since then. Um, that might have been it, theater movie wise. But both enjoyable experiences. Though. I enjoyed both of them.
Yeah, July I watched. Oh, June and July I watched a crap ton of movies. Crap ton, not in theaters, but like sitting at home.
Oh, and I saw Fantastic Four.
Yes, yeah, you saw Fantastic Four. I watched like the Oceans trilogy for the first time
Oh wow.
in June. I watched 21 Jump Street. July was super busy. I was watching a bunch of stuff, rewatching and first watching stuff in July, um but yeah, so it's good to be back. August I did not watch as much stuff, and in September I have not watched as much stuff. So um it's been good. Kind of, my letterbox was full as I was logging all of my watches and stuff over the summer. But it's good to be back here for our podcast where we discuss a movie or TV show every single week, or not every single week, every other week, thereabout, depending on how busy I am in time to upload it. Sometimes it's 3 weeks. Usually I try to stick to the every other week. But we
Life gets in
dive
the way
in.
sometimes.
I pick a movie for you haven't seen, you pick a movie for me I haven't seen, and then we discuss the movie on the podcast. We give a rating out of 5 stars, and then we tell our listener what is next. So, Casey, we did this in the trailer, but sometimes people don't listen to those. And sometimes they may not, I guess, look at the title that they're clicking if it's on an autoplay. So, tell us what movie we are discussing.
So you are a fan of John Hughes. You introduced me to Ferris Bueller and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Um, I know you're a fan, maybe not a huge fan, but a fan of John Hughes and his work. So we're gonna go back to the 1980s, specifically 1985. We're
It's
gonna
a good
watch the
year.
written and directed movie by John Hughes, Weird Science. Uh, Weird Science. Two high school nerds use a computer program to literally create the perfect woman who promptly turns their lives upside down. Now, this movie was written and directed by John Hughes. Other writers are William M. Gaines and Al Feldstein. It stars Anthony Michael Hall. I don't know how to pronounce his name, Island or Elon Mitchell Smith. Introduced me and many young men to the beautiful and lovely Kelly LeBrock. Bill Paxton. And did you notice anybody else specifically in this movie?
A young man credited as Robert Downey.
Yes, okay.
No
So I was
Jr.
wondering if you were going to pick that up. This was one of Robert Downey Jr.'s first roles,
Yes.
and I've seen this movie many times, and especially over the last decade or so, as he's became a massive, massive star. Right? I've known he was. I recognized and knew he was in the movie. It wasn't until this last rewatch when I saw his name pop up and saw he was listed just as Robert Downey, not even Robert
Yeah.
Downey Jr. So it's like, wow, this is definitely old. Um,
Yeah, 85. What a year for movies. I mean, what a year for John Hughes as well. He wrote and directed The Breakfast Club. He wrote European Vacation and then wrote and directed Weird Science. That's his 1985. Also in 85, of course, Back to the Future, Clue. Just a really good year for movies in 1985.
yeah, and there's a couple movie podcasts I listen to. One of them will talk about like certain directors and like how they'll have a certain run, like a 3 or 4 year run, or something like that, or how like certain movie years, when you look back, you're like, wow, how did all these come out within the course of a year?
Mm-hmm.
Or certain actors, because you know they can film movies back to back, and sometimes they can take anywhere from 6 months to a year, especially back then. Well, maybe now with all the special effects they had. You know, it can take 6 months to a year before they roll out. Next thing you know, you've got actors appearing in 3 or 4 movies in the course of a 12-month period. This is definitely one of those where you look back and you're like, wow, this was definitely a wild time.
I mean, he had like a 8-year run here. I mean, or like a 7-year run with. He wrote Mr. Mom. He wrote Vacation. He wrote and directed 16 Candles in 84. Like I said, 85 had those three movies. 86 was Pretty in Pink and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. 87 was Some Kind of Wonderful and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. 88 was maybe a down year for him. She's Having a Baby in the Great Outdoors. I'm not too familiar with those. But
Oh, you
89,
you haven't seen Great Outdoors?
no, 89 is
Oh,
Uncle
good.
Buck. 89 is also Christmas Vacation, and 1990 is Home Alone. Like that's a 7-year period there of.
That that right there is enough to say that's a hell of a career. And I'm not sure when he started in the industry, but I know he was working
82.
well. I know he was working well after that though. Like he was still doing a lot of things well after that. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean that if this were like sports, that might be enough for like a Hall of Fame career.
Oh yeah, put him in. Put him in.
Um, this was based on something called Made of the Future by Al Feldstein. This was an old comic book um, that was along the lines, I think it was EC Comics or something like that. They'd done some of those pulpy horror comics like Tales from the Crypt, some other things. So this was a story that was in one of those comics. It was
Yep.
released in on August 2nd, 1985. A budget 7.5 million. Box office of 38.9 million. Um, I remember in '85 I was 7 years old, so I didn't go see this in the movie theater. But this was one of those when I watched this movie. One of the first things that pops into my head is that old HBO intro that you
Mm-hmm.
would get when new movies were premiere on Saturday nights. Back when like movies might have a 3, 4, 6 month run in the theater, then it would be a couple months before it appeared on HBO or Cinemax. Then it would be still be another couple of months before you would get them on videotape. So this was one I don't know if I saw it on a Saturday night world premiere on HBO, but it gives me those vibes of when I was a kid around this age, 7, 8, 9 years old, where like those big movies would come out on Friday or Saturday nights on HBO, and like families would like gather around, and that's what they would do. Um, Obviously, you're a fan of John Hughes, but what other works of his have you seen, or why have you not seen this movie up until this point?
All right, so let's see. I've seen Vacation.
The
I've
original
seen
Vacation, your
yeah.
opinion, which or how many of them?
I've seen Vacation, bits of European Vacation, and Christmas Vacation. I've seen bits of 16 Candles. I've seen The Breakfast Club, a couple, like probably 5, 6 times at this point. I've seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
I'm
I've
assuming Home
not
Alone
Home Alone. I have not actually seen Planes, Trains, Automobiles, or Uncle Buck.
or Great
Um,
Outdoors, as you've
or
said.
Great Outdoors. And then I've seen Home Alone 2.
But you've seen
Yeah.
enough of his catalog. So
Yes.
what stopped you from ever checking this out?
I just don't know, honestly. I feel like sometimes this is not one we owned. And that's kind of what we've always talked about as we come back to it, right? Is at times like when it comes to VHS or DVD, like this is not one that my parents watched a lot or owned. So we owned Ferris Bueller,
Yeah.
we owned Breakfast Club. So those we would see. And then also like of course streaming came in and these were all available sometimes, right? But that's the thing we were talking about during the trailer or at the beginning of this episode now. I have lost track. But where this one has jumped from on to off streaming, um the also just like the parallelism like the paralysis of choice with
Yeah.
streaming where
When
there's
you
so
have
much.
so much, sometimes you just go to something comfortable and
Yes.
rewatch something you've seen. Yeah, I trust me, I get that.
Yeah.
Remind me again too. When were you born? As I might.
91.
Okay, so it's 6 years after this.
But
there is
85 like I said has two of my favorite movies of all time with Clue and Back to the Future. So
no, no. I get that, but also at the same time, like there is an age difference. I'm 46, about to turn 47. So I was alive and around when this was really
mhm.
big. When this came out, and this was really big. Um, with you being born in 91, by the time you hit 7, 8, 9 years old, this movie's 10, 12 years old, something in that range, right?
Right.
You know, um, yes, obviously, like you said, you're a fan of like Back to the Future and a couple other things, but, uh, you know, you're gonna probably be caught up or trying to watch some more modern stuff or like what your parents may have around. So, um, so I get that. So before we start talking about the movie, what did you think of the song, the theme song?
I have heard the song. It's played on the radio. So I have heard the song before. But it just always makes me want to listen to She Blinded Me with Science instead.
Now I don't know. I can't remember when that song came out. That song's a
I
great
know.
song.
That's what I had to think. I'm gonna look it up because I'm like this. If not,
So
it
I
should
don't
have
know
been
if
in
that was an
this movie.
option. I don't know if that was an option.
82. It was an option.
But so the film's theme song, Weird Science, performed by the group Oingo Boingo.
Yes.
Do you know who the front man and who wrote the song for this is?
Oh, I've heard of this and I just clicked it to spoil it. But I have heard of this footnote before. Yeah.
So
Danny
Danny
Elfman.
Elfman, who has composed and done many things. Also, to go along with that, uh, hold on, I know I have this somewhere. Danny Elfman does not like this song.
You
Um,
know, I don't blame him. I think it's an okay song, but again, it just always makes me want to listen to a better song. So I mean, I don't know.
so, according to the notes I got off IMDb, Danny Elfman was embarrassed by the music video for Oingo Boingo's Weird Science and felt the song itself was not really a part of the band's repertoire because it was too commercial. He expressed
Didn't
horror
he?
at the
Did he
videos.
write it though?
He wrote it. He expressed horror at the video's outcome, stating it was the only one he wasn't involved in producing. And after it was parodied on Beavis and Butthead, he decided he never wanted to play it again.
Wow, and it's their most successful commercial song.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he recently, I want to say within the last 5 or 10 years, he has reunited with the group Oingo Boingo and done some stuff, but I don't know if this was a song, if he still feels this way or if this is something he will still play. I just know, yeah, it's his most commercially successful hit, but he despises it.
That's a pretty common theme with, I feel like, artists sometimes with their most popular song.
You know, I can kind of get that to an extent.
Because everybody
Um,
just yells out, play Weird Science. And you're like, damn it.
or okay, I think we've talked about it, but Ted from How I Met Your Mother, right?
Yes.
He went through a period of time for a while where he kind of wanted nothing to do with the fact that he was Ted Mosby, where he grew a beard out, he was trying to do different roles, and he kind of hated the fact that people would come up to him and they would talk about like how this show had kind of helped them through some tough times or was a comfort thing, various other things, and he really didn't like it. But I guess he's recently come around on that a little bit, where he's kind of realized or looked at it from a different perspective
I
of
mean, he's doing a rewatch podcast of it with the co-creator of the show. So
yeah, and
yeah.
so I'm sure you may have heard of this person. I don't know. Have you ever heard of Monica Lewinsky?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. She has a podcast called Reclaiming, right? It's a great podcast. I started listening to it when it first came out. I remember her scandal when it first happened in '98. Um, I was one of those idiots who probably made fun of her and said some horrible things about her way back in the day, which I now kind of regret because it was uncalled for. I remember seeing her TED talk after she did it about kind of online bullying and talked about what she had to go through. It's kind of when I realized like, wow, we were pretty crappy to her. And then I was like 21 at the time the whole scandal with her happened, with her and President Clinton happened. So
Yeah.
obviously it was a different place. Wasn't really that mature. Thought of it in a different way. As I got older, more mature, realized, some things. And so she does a podcast called Reclaiming, and she's talked to different people. She talked to him on one of her episodes, and he kind of talked about it. What I didn't know was he actually has a theater background. So his big thing is he came from the theater, and he initially wasn't even sure if he wanted to do like a television show. Um, but he did, and he talked about it a little bit, and talked about how he kind of had resentment towards it because it wasn't really his thing. It went on for so long, and he just didn't like how it ended, and just didn't like what it that people just all they saw of him was Ted Mosby, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But now, like, yeah, he's kind of come around to it a little bit and changed his mind. I think about 5 years ago, he probably wouldn't have done that rewatch.
Right. Right.
I know he's doing a he's also got a musical career, so he does like concerts. It's like some smaller venues,
Yeah.
but he's definitely come around to it. And I kind of when I first heard about this when I a couple years ago, I was like, wow, that's kind of dickish. Like these people are telling you how much they enjoy what you've done and how it's helped them through hard times and things. But once again, passage of time, and I started realizing, like, yeah, maybe if that's all people ever want to talk to you about, and maybe it's not what you really wanted to do in the first place,
Right.
I can kind of understand why he may have felt that way. And it's his right to feel any way he wants to about his work. Um, so yeah. All right. So Gary Wallace, played by Anthony Michael Hall, and Wyatt Donnelly, played by Mitchell Smith, uh, students in Shermer High School. So their movie starts off, they're there watching the girls' gymnastics team doing gymnastic stuff as geeky, horny 14 or 15-year-olds or whatever. Um, this is where we get our first introduction to Robert Downey, as he is known, and his buddy there, who decide to pants Gary and Wyatt and embarrass them in front of all the girls. Um, did your did your school ever have like a gym uniform or no?
Yes. It was yellow top, green shorts. We were the Hawks.
Really?
Yep.
I thought that kind of went out of the way. Like, so like I said, I'm a little older. this was something I saw in many of these movies around this time, right? From like the 80s and 90s. The high school gym uniform of like these little shorts and whatever t-shirt and everything, right?
Yeah.
And by the time I got to middle of high school, like that wasn't a thing. Like you brought your own shorts and t-shirt stuff in. I don't know. So yeah, I thought that was something I would experience, and I never did. But I don't know. In Maryland in the '90s, I guess they were still doing that. But okay,
Early 2000s even, because
did you get
I was in middle and high school until '09. So
did you guys have to buy them from the school?
yes.
I'd imagine it was like $20 for the shorts and like
I don't
15 for
remember
the
how much
shirt
it
or
was. It was
something.
they came as a set, and I think I usually bought like two of like two pants, two shirts, and then would wash them and rotate them.
How many days a week did you guys have gym?
Uh, I in high school I would do 3.
Because we
I
had a
took gym. Most people only took gym 1 year. Like the requirement was you needed like I guess one regular gym class, and then people would do what they called damn, what was the class called? Um, it was pretty much just walk around the school, right? I forget what it was called, but like that's pretty much what they did. They just walk around and be chatting with each other as they walk down the halls in their gym uniforms. And I did not. I had the competitive gene in me, Casey. So I did not take that. I kept signing up for team sports gym. So we would be doing like floor hockey, dodgeball, flag football, soccer, baseball. Like that is what we did in gym, and I took it like all 4 years, I think, because I enjoyed it.
I'm still mad they don't play dodgeball anymore. It's a shame.
Yeah, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a
Dodge a
ball.
ball. You can dodge traffic. You can dodge a ball.
I just
Uh,
watched that. That was one of the movies I watched again. Like it was a rewatch after a long time of not watching it. Back in like June or July, I was like, "It's a dodgeball night," and I watched dodgeball.
that scene is probably one of the three funniest scenes I've ever seen in movie history. Where
Yes,
anytime I watch it, at some point I have to stop because I'm laughing so hard and I get tears in my eyes. Another one
my
is in
favorite part is always after Alan Tudyk's Steve the Pirate walks off, and then they're talking about like Steve the Pirate, and the one guy's like, "Who?" And it was like,
the guy
the
dressed as a
pirate, like
pirate.
arg. And he's like, I have no clue what you're talking about. And then he walks in,
another
he's like, oh, Steve the pirate.
another one is Bruce Almighty.
Oh
Uh,
yes,
where he starts messing where Jim Carrey start.
teleprompter.
Yes. I was looking forward when you sent me your list because I was gonna see if you had seen that one or not
Oh
because I
yes,
was
I've
gonna
seen
pick
Bruce
that.
Almighty. Yeah,
But that's another one where I end up laughing so hard at him
that was one
messing
that
with
came
Eddie.
out like when I was in my probably early teens or tweens era, and it was one that like would always be on TV, but also like my like grandparents would have on, or I think I may have went to see Bruce Almighty, or we definitely watched it in school too. It was one of our
End of
like
the
a teacher
year,
played it one day. Yeah, like end of
like
the year,
or
put
substitute
on
teacher
Bruce
or
Almighty.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. So, Gary spending the night over Wyatt's house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because his parents are away, and his parents don't trust him. So his older brother Chet, played by Bill Paxton, is coming back home from college to watch him. These kids are like 14 or 15 years old. I get everybody raises their family different. You can't trust your 14-year-old kid to be at home alone
Casey,
for
did you
2 days. Come on.
see? Did you see the house at the end of this movie?
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I did. But okay, look,
There's a reason they didn't trust him.
okay, but let's be realistic. Without Lisa, who is our girl that gets created, none of this happens.
Right, right. But I mean, even with Chet there, they make her.
No, they made her before Chet got back.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But okay, also at the
So
same
again,
time,
that's why they don't trust him.
also at the same time, um, what do you think the Wyatt's parents do for money? Because Jesus Christ, they have a piano, they
Nice
have like a
house.
loop around drive. That's like a couple $1 million house nowadays. Like Jesus.
Nowadays, in the '80s, that was probably like a $10,000 house.
No, I'd probably say maybe a couple 100,000 back then. But like that thing's basically a mansion. Because it doesn't even say like the housekeeper's not coming till Monday or some shit.
I
Like
think so. Yeah, yeah.
I
No,
don't.
it's very. I don't know.
I'm not sure if he was joking with that, but the more I think about it, I don't think he was joking.
I mean, with that, the house is huge. It needs the upkeep. I feel like I probably think
As
that's not a
hoity-toity
joke.
as those grandparents are too.
Yes. Oh my god, they seem like they're straight out of the I don't know, the prim and proper. They felt very posh, like
Yeah,
English posh. The
like
grandparents.
like they can trace their money back to the Mayflower.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so they're there. They're watching Frankenstein, right? And that's where Gary gets the bright idea that they can create their own woman, right? Wyatt supposedly has this very fancy top of the line computer, which for 1985 or 84, that probably was top of the line, right? Uh,
Yeah.
Probably had like maybe whole 16 megabytes of memory or something, you know. Um, it's funny because you see how he has to like take the phone off the hook and place it in another thing in order to like use dial-up modem stuff. He hacks into like some defense thing. I don't.
Yeah, it says that they apparently on Wikipedia it says they hack into a government computer system for more power.
They hook electrodes up to a doll, right? They bust into either the dad's or Chet's Foot Locker and get a bunch of Playboys and stuff so they can get the right proportions for the right woman, for the
Mm-hmm.
perfect woman, right? They feed it photos of like Albert Einstein and she could play the piano and all this other stuff, right? And the lightning storm and thunder and lightning and all this stuff. And it works. They create a woman. This is where we get introduced to the lovely and talented Kelly LeBrock playing Lisa. What do you know of Kelly LeBrock?
Not much.
She's a former model.
That's about
Um,
as much as I know.
she had done, I want to say it was Pantene commercials during
Hmm.
this time or after this, where the catchphrase was "Don't hate me because I'm beautiful."
Okay, I've heard that.
Do you know who she was married to at one point?
Oh boy. I don't. I'm gonna take a swing here. Give me a hint. Give me a hint. Actor, or is
Actor,
it
action star.
actor action star? Okay. I feel the first thing that came to mind was Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No,
Okay. Carl Weathers.
no.
Sly. I don't know. Who
Nope.
is it?
Strike three. The piece of crap that is Steven Seagal.
Oh, I was gonna guess him instead of Sly, but I went with Sly instead.
Well, okay, I don't know if they were married. They were together for a long period of time and they actually have children together. And
Oh
in her
wow.
book, she's made some accusations against him, which I don't doubt. And
Yeah.
he's probably a Russian asset and he's a big piece of crap. So, whatever.
Allegedly.
Um, I'm not even saying allegedly. What he can sue me if he wants. What is he gonna get from me? Not a damn thing. Um,
Gonna get your
uh,
Blu-rays.
no, I will fight his fat ass over that. Um, but so she was not initially cast as Lisa. A model named Kelly Emberg was initially cast as Lisa,
Oh
but
really?
she
I didn't
left
know that.
after 2 days due to creative differences. Kelly Emberg's a very beautiful blonde. Um, Kelly Emberg was rather. LeBrock was hired as her replacement, and I want to say maybe a month ago I saw the three of them, her and Anthony Michael Hall and Mitchell Smith been doing a lot of like conventions and stuff together and everything. I saw a Q&A they did at a like a Comic-Con type thing. And I've seen her say this before. When she got the call to come back and play Lisa, she's like, I was on the beach with Sting of the Police.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, she was not initially. She turned it down, and she was vacationing in France at the time. Was
Do
having
you
too
know
much fun
what?
riding horses on the beach.
Do you know what Sting said when she told him the news?
No, they didn't get into that, but I mean,
He
what?
said, "I'll be watching you."
God damn it! I'm gonna stop recording this podcast right now. Every breath you
Uh.
take.
He's like, "Oh, good, you're in a movie. I'll be watching you."
So the door explodes. She comes out with like pink aura and some smoke. And I think she says,
Crop top.
what do you maniacs want to do first? Or what do you little maniacs want to do
Yeah.
first? Um, Kelly LeBrock is still a beautiful woman. She's she is definitely a first crush for many a person who was alive and saw this during that time. What did you think of the introduction of Lisa and their whole let's make our own girl and the computer technology of the time back then?
Yeah, that part was silly. The like especially when they do it again the second time with like maximizing the boob areas. But you know, it little outdated in that regard. But the it was kind of I had to really suspend disbelief here because of them just being able to know how to do this, you know, like they just it works. But yeah, so um her intro, you know, I can see why that would leave a lasting impression. And as many characters would say, probably a few people tossed off to this. A phrase I never heard before. I had never heard that. Is that like a Midwest thing, you think?
No, I think that's a British saying.
That's what I was going to say. It sounds British, but John Hughes is not British.
Not, but Kelly LeBrock is.
Yeah, but also like his doesn't is she the first one that mentions it? Or is it
Yes.
her? Oh, okay. Oh, that would make sense then. That would make sense. I thought for some reason his parents said it first, but you're right. I think she says it first.
But now, in all fairness, like being that this was written by John Hughes, you never know. I don't know. Um, but yeah, she is definitely a smoke show, without a shadow of a doubt. So they get together. They put on Wyatt puts on some of his clothes. Gary puts on Wyatt Chet's like a suit from Chet and whatever private school he might have went to or something, right? Because Lisa's gonna take him out. Oh, I'm sorry. Before that, they shower together.
Yes,
However,
they're all
uh,
clothed still, except for her.
oh, okay. We also got to talk about their manners. I can kind of understand somewhat not being clothed, but I can understand maybe not wanting to be in the shower with another guy that close. Maybe having your underwear on. So, but shoes, come on. Also, earlier when they were watching Frankenstein, we see Gary with his shoes on in the house. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I used to do that up until maybe about 5 or 10 years ago myself, right? I don't really do that anymore, but okay, like I get that. Especially this is the 80s, that probably wasn't a big thing. But then he's walking on not only Wyatt's bed, but whatever bed he's sleeping on in his shoes. Like, come on, dude.
I didn't really notice the shoe thing as much as you did, but I did definitely in the shower, which is look, I can kind of understand this. If you're next to your best friend in the shower with a girl, I can see maybe not wanting to undress.
I can get that. I'm not saying that, especially
At
at like
least take the
13 or
shoes and socks off, though.
at least like 13 or 14 at their age. Like I get that.
Yeah.
Understandable. Also, this was definitely made at a different time as there is a quite a few F bombs dropped. Um, the
Is
F
there F
slur,
bombs? I definitely heard S bombs.
well, the slur F bomb
Oh yeah, okay,
dropped
yeah,
quite a
okay,
few
yeah,
times.
yes, yeah.
Um, I honestly, up until I just watched this, I probably didn't pay attention or forgot about that. And then when I was watching it this time, I was like, oh, that's not
There's a
not
few
appropriate.
things I think that don't age particularly well.
Yeah, we'll talk about those. There's a few. One of them we'll talk about
Yes,
here in a quick minute.
yes,
But I can understand it. So, uh, Lisa apparently has magic power, right? She conjures up a pink Cadillac,
yes.
right?
That was
Um,
something that took me a little. I did not know much about the plot of this other than they make her. I did not know she also has these like powers.
Magic
Reality.
powers,
She's almost like Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch. She's just
or Doctor
able to
Strange. Yeah,
change reality like that.
yeah. Um, so they go to Chicago. They go to a blues bar in downtown Chicago. She gets some fake IDs with the world's worst mustache for Wyatt.
Yeah.
Um, while they're there, they realize initially they realize they're probably not meant to be there. Lisa's like, okay, we can either do this here or we can invite everybody back to your house. So they stay there. They end up getting drunk with a bunch of older black gentlemen. So this is probably the first scene that probably doesn't age. And while I can understand some people saying it doesn't age well, I can also understand the rationale of how and why this scene could and would have actually happened if something like this were to happen. Um, so Gary, Wyatt, and Lisa they're drinking with a bunch of older black guys, right? And we've established they're between like 13 and 15, somewhere in that age.
I believe they say. I believe
I think they say 14 or 15 or
Wyatt
something.
Wyatt
One
is
says
turning
15 is going to be
16
16 in a couple
in
months.
June, and Gary is 16. I believe he says to at the end of the movie. He says to the girl he's dating.
Okay, so 15 and 16 years old, right? Got it.
Hmm.
Um, they're dorky, they're geeky, right? They don't look like they have a lot of friends outside of each other. Throughout the movie, they're talking about always wanting to be invited to or have a party. So I can't imagine they have been to very many other parties that would have been going on during this time period, right?
Right.
So realistically, this is probably Gary's first time being drunk.
Hmm.
His first time being drunk. That alcohol is gonna First of all, that alcohol is gonna hit him pretty hard. And he's probably gonna just end up assimilating who he's around, right? So once again, I'm not saying him getting the accent that he does and various other things that he does is okay or right. But I can understand that this is his first time getting drunk, right? These older black gentlemen are probably having a ball laughing at his ass the entire time. So
Yeah.
that's probably where he got the hat from, right? One of them put it on him because he damn sure is not going to reach out and take somebody's hat. So they probably put it on him as kind of like a little mascot type thing, right? They probably gave him the cigar just like they gave him the drink, told him to drink. The accent and how he starts talking is probably just because this is who he's around the first time he's getting drunk and he's having a good time. I understand some people don't like it and they say it doesn't age well. It doesn't bother me as much because I can understand how that could happen. And I don't think it was meant to be done from like an evil or a bad place. I think it was something that like, yeah, if this is where he got drunk, that's probably what would have happened. Like if he got drunk around a bunch of bikers, he might have it would have been a different thing. He might have had a leather vest on, start talking differently. But that just was who they ended up around.
I mean, you're way more qualified to talk about this than I am in that regard. So, what I would say is this is the main scene that had me cringing during this watch here. It was
But now,
fine at first. I think with how long it goes, he keeps this accent going or this dialect going all the
until he
way
gets back
back to
home,
the
right?
house. Yeah, yeah. So that was I was like, man, we're still going with this.
But the one thing I will say, and obviously I don't know John Hughes, I've never met him, right? This is not the first time that John Hughes would have written, had a character that was kind of borderline. I don't want to say racist, but like we can look back now at like very cringy of like, really, dude, what are you doing? Was a different time. Not saying it's right. It was probably more accepted during these times, right?
Well, yeah, I don't think there's any malice in it, but it just does it still doesn't look good. It's not a good
Yeah.
look, I would say, but like for how far we've come.
And like I said, especially now that we look back and we see that John Hughes has done this with a few of his characters in a few
Right.
of his movies. It's one of those like maybe there wasn't malice, but yeah, like what happened? Um, they get back. They're drunk as hell, right? This is where we first meet Wyatt, or I'm sorry, Chet, Wyatt's older brother. So basically, he extorts about $175 out of him, um, so that to keep quiet and don't tell the parents, right? Lisa keeps herself hidden from Chet. Um, but uh, so what did you think about the whole thing of like every time Chet come? One, what did you think of Chet initially? And what did you think of every time like Chet comes around, Lisa's like just walking out of frame. They don't really meet up until later.
That was hard for me to reconcile because there is one point when she calls them down for breakfast
Yeah.
that she clearly yells for them to come down, and then like he
She
has
walks out the door.
Chet,
She walks into another room as he walks in the door, and the door is
yes,
between them,
and
so he
she's
doesn't
still
see her.
there. You can still see her.
We can see it from our
Uh,
point of view, but the door's between them,
yes,
so Chet can't see her.
yeah,
But
but it is it was kind of like I was kind of left confused in that regard of like, did he not hear her call them down for breakfast? Because then he comes down like right after. Like it seemed kind of hard. I was kind of confused on when he know what he knows when he
yeah,
knows. But yeah, she always is like trying to hide from him at times, right? Because they're like, get away, like hide. We gotta make sure Chet doesn't tell anybody about this. Um, Chet is an asshole. I feel like
there's really
he's
no other way to put it. Yeah, yeah, that's
yeah,
pretty much it.
not
But
a
this
very
was,
well liked character during
but
my
this is
watch.
also a typical thing of like an older brother that you see in a lot of like 70s and 80s movies.
Kind of reminds me of Home Alone, the older brother in Home Alone.
Somehow the older brother is always way bigger than the younger brother. Like I can get it
Yeah,
if
I
there's a
think
massive age difference, right?
yeah,
If there's like a 5 or 6 year age difference, like I understand that. But if they're only a few years apart, but this one, like, there's just like a physical frame difference. Like Chet is way larger than Wyatt. You know, the older brother is always a bully and treats his younger brother like crap the whole movie or whatever.
I think we
Um,
have to look into John Hughes' personal life and ask, does he have an older brother that he was not a fan of?
I never thought of that. That's a possibility. But like, but that was also just a common thing in like 70s and 80s
Yes,
movies.
yeah, and even
Um,
in TV shows.
so the next morning to get up, um, they go to the mall. Um, Gary and Wyatt get embarrassed again. Uh, excuse me, by getting a slushy poured on them by Max and Ian from the second or third floor of the mall. Not gonna lie to you, kind of miss malls, man. I really do. Walking around a good mall,
Yeah,
hanging out at the mall, especially at Christmas time. It was always was always a good time, man. It was always a good thing. Now, man, a lot of these are just sad. Um,
Everybody just does their shopping online and they're like, isn't this better? And I'm like, no, I like sometimes being able to get the physical thing in my hand the day I order it. Or I like the experience of the atmosphere of listening to the Christmas music with the decorations as I go from store to store in the mall. Or getting a
smelling the
pretzel as I'm
Yeah,
shopping.
I was gonna say smelling the cookies or the
Yeah.
pretzels and the Sabaro, the horrible Sabaro pizza.
Yeah.
Um, but uh, so Max and Ian see Lisa. Like many young men at this time, they're immediately attracted and enthralled by Lisa. They follow her. That's where they find out she's with Wyatt and Gary. Lisa's also made a Porsche for them that they drive up in. Um, so even though they were embarrassed, they kind of get a little comeuppance
Mm-hmm.
by driving away Lisa in this Porsche. So she tells them to let everybody know they're gonna have a party at Wyatt's, right? They don't want to do it. Lisa kind of convinces them to. This is where we also see a lot more of the magic taking place, where she's literally going around the house, turning lights on and off, and doing weird
Yeah.
shit, like going into one room and changing outfits. Like by the time we see her go into another room and everything, right? Um, she goes to pick up Gary from his place and meet Gary's parents. Um, this was a great scene. Um, where Gary's parents are horrified. Gary's mom is horrified of what she's saying. Gary's dad is like, nope, he's grounded. And Lisa's like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. Um,
Oh, okay, let's put yourself in their position, the parents' position. Because you've probably always thought of this from the kids' position because you grew up with this, right?
yeah,
But how old is Kelly LeBrock when she filmed this? Mid-20s?
yeah, 20s or 30s or something like that.
Because she's 65 now, so that would have been 40 years ago. She's
Yeah,
25. Okay, she's about 25. Hanging around a 15-year-old. We kind of get that as well when she goes to the mall and is asking the lingerie saleswoman, like, do you think this will like get a 15-year-old hot? And the lady's like, what the hell is it?
look, those might be the skimpiest panties I have ever seen in my life.
Yes, they were. And you have this 25-year-old woman who's not actually 25 because she's just made, but she is an adult looking woman telling you that you're
She's a full grown woman. There's no
yes,
teenager child about her. She is an adult.
telling you that your teenage son is going to go to this party and do drugs because she's winding him up a bit here,
Yeah.
but they're going to drink, they're going to do drugs, there's going to be girls there, uh and then she pulls out a gun. That yeah, that's a I would, if I was his parents, I'd be now of course she does like wipe their memory of this, so they
She
don't.
wipes one of their memories.
Well, she wipes both, but like where they don't remember the thing that just took place, but like his dad is way
Doesn't
far
remember
gone.
doesn't remember that he has a son at all.
Yeah, which I know is played for laughs, but this was actually heartbreaking for me, Casey. Maybe it's the new dad in me, but I was like, this would be diabolical. I could not
But
imagine
it's
that.
just temporary. Eventually he's gonna get his memory back. Everything goes back to
Do we
normal.
know that?
If she turned Chet back from what he was previously back to
Okay,
Chet and
maybe.
gets rid of a nuclear missile that pops up in the house, I'm pretty sure everybody's memories kind of went back.
Because even like the next day, he was like, I still don't know who you're talking about. I was like, oh my God, this is lasting a long time.
Well,
It was
yeah, she can't have it
heartbreaking.
just last like 30 minutes because then, like, you might call God. I don't, look, as someone who is not a parent, I obviously would have to defer to someone else who is a parent how they would feel about this, right? I can't honestly say how I would feel because I don't know. I'm not a parent. It's not something I have in me, right? I'd like to think. I honestly I don't know what I could think. Like you said, the math changes when you realize there's an adult woman who's taking advantage, who might be taking advantage of your 15, 16-year-old son, right?
Right.
Now, also, I would say different time. Dad might not be so against an older woman taking advantage of his 15, 16-year-old son in the
Yeah.
1980s as they would now.
Even
Um,
now, they usually like will get it's harder for that to be taken as seriously.
well, I think it's changing because we're seeing a lot of teachers now who we see are taking advantage of their students, who
Yes.
are
Yeah.
women teachers who are raping their male students, right? Taking advantage of them. You're always going to get a couple of assholes, and that's the
Hmm.
only thing I can call them, who are like, oh, where were they when I was in high school? And
Right.
everyone tends to shut that down pretty quick, like, dude, it's still not cool, right? It can damage a kid for like. So once again, I get it. Like I can't really. I I think it might have been a different conversation had she not wound him up and brought up the drugs and the orgies, the drinking and
Yes.
everything else. But it's neither here nor there. Um, yeah, she pulls a 44 Magnum out on him as they're calling the cops. 1985, they actually had to dial a full number. This was before 911 because not
Was it
every
really?
place. Do me a favor while I'm talking. Look up
Yeah.
when 911 started nationwide because I remember like 911 was not always a thing. I remember there was an actual number for the police or the fire department that you had to call. And some places started getting it earlier or sooner. It was a big push for a while to
So
try
okay,
and
here we go. In 19 Let me finish the full thing here cuz there's a little bit of a thing. 1968, AT&T announces 911 as the single national emergency number. In 1968, the first 911 call was placed in Alabama. By 1987, 2 years after this, only 50% of the US had access to that emergency service. By 1999, Congress directs the FCC to make 911 the universal emergency number.
yeah, I remember living through this in the
Wow.
80s where it became a thing of like, there was the push to get 911 because it wasn't in every area. Like you might go a town over and you might be able to dial 911 and that would connect you to emergency services, but all of a sudden in your town it didn't work. So it was
Wow. So you mean not until like the
late
wow,
80s, early
that's
90s was it.
kind of crazy. It's a good thing Sean Kingston did not release his song Fire Burning until 2009. Somebody call 911 would not have made sense before this.
Strike two, strike three, we'll cut you off. Um,
So it's late on a Saturday night. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the
I
vibes. All right.
got you.
Go.
It's all good. But yeah, so yeah, like yeah, that was honestly that was something I picked up from the scene though was the fact that she had to dial a full 7-digit number for the
I didn't
police,
even realize that.
and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. 911 was not a huge thing for a long time. Like it wasn't a thing everywhere.
That's
Um,
crazy. That's great because I feel like my whole life, 91 onward, at some point we were taught like just dial 911. Maybe I was just in that area where I had access to it, but like that's crazy that it wasn't like
but yeah, okay.
because I
By
do
the
this all the time. Go ahead.
by the time you're able to dial the phone, five or six, it's what 95, 96, 97,
Right,
right?
right, right.
So yeah, like that's it's probably mostly nationwide by that time, if not fully, but there still might be small pockets. But yeah, so that it was a normal thing by that time. But maybe
Yeah, but
when
it's
you were
just
born, it still wasn't
right.
fully
That's
integrated.
what's weird is like I do this a lot where I think to like before I was born, right? So I'm born in 91 and I'd be like, okay, Back to the Future is my favorite movie. I've been watching it since I was a kid. That movie was only 6 years old at the time I was born. But to me, it was always an old movie. Not like an old movie,
Yeah,
but it was a movie that's always existed before I was born. So it's like, uh, wow, like that's crazy thing. Or the fact that really blows my mind is that 1978's Superman movie was released 13 years before I was born. Like that is
That movie's about to turn 50 years old.
I know that's what's scary because it means I'm getting old. But it's it is one of those things where it's like uh, it's crazy. So the fact that this 911 thing really, yeah, first done in 68, but like 50% of the population in 87, that's
Still
only
didn't have access to it. Yeah.
that's only 4 years before I was born.
Did you know there was a number you could call to get the time during this
Yes,
time?
411, right?
That or the operator, yeah. Like you could call and ask, literally ask, like, "Hey, what time is it?"
I used to use that sometimes. 411. It'd be like, "Hey, what's the any sort of information thing?" I used to call that. I used to
Um,
call movie phone. What time's the
movie
movie
phone.
playing? Yeah, Kramer
You have
on the other
selected.
line. Tell me
It's
the
it.
movie you selected.
So after she pulls the 44 Magnum on him, they're driving away. She reveals to Gary it's a water gun, right?
Yes.
Like you said, she messes with their memories. They forget. Lucy forgot about the conflict. Gary's mom. Al forgets that they have a son altogether, right?
Yeah.
A couple hours later, they're there. There's a ding dong doorbell, and there's hundreds of people outside.
Yeah,
Right?
so Casey, did they all just wait for this one person to be like, "No, you go knock on the door. No, you go
I
knock
no,
on
I
the door."
think what they did was they all said, "Hey, we're meeting up at the mall at like 6 o'clock, and then we're gonna carpool or convoy from the mall to Wyatt's house, right?"
Mm.
And then they all got out and went up together, and whoever was just up front. I don't know,
So
but
okay, so this is something that we might both be able to relate to. When it comes to I remember vividly, this is before MapQuest, right? This is before iPhones having maps and Waze and all those good things. I remember in elementary school having to tell my friends how to get to my house.
yeah,
I'd
yeah.
be like, "Oh, you know where this thing is? Yeah, all right, turn right there.
Turn right at the
Then go
gas
about
station.
2 minutes. You're gonna take a right there, and
Once you
that's our
once you
house."
pass once you pass the Rite Aid, take a right after the Rite Aid. Here's
Right.
one. If you hit the train tracks or insert whatever landmark of your choice, if you hit the train tracks, you've gone too far.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of like, so all these people had to know where this Wyatt's house is, which is this big house that is seemingly like off, kind of off the beaten path a bit. Like it
Well,
doesn't
obviously they're
seem
rich. They're not living with regular people.
right, right, right.
They probably didn't have gated communities at this time, but nowadays that would be in a gated community. Um, it's a hell of a party. It gets out of control, right? But Gary and Wyatt, they can't really, they don't know what they're doing. They're in the bathroom. Gary's telling, or Wyatt's telling Gary. No, Gary's telling. No, yeah, Wyatt's telling Gary.
Yeah.
No, one
Wyatt's
of them's.
telling Gary that his stomach is hurting, and Gary's
Yeah,
like,
okay.
"We got to be
Gary's
out
like,
there."
yeah. If you're gonna fart, let me know. Like, turn on the fan. Um, so uh, they're
And then
there.
it's like said that Gary, then is it said that Wyatt like poops in this thing?
I don't think he does. I think he just has gas.
Okay, because I was gonna
He
say
gets
if
upset
he
stomach.
did, I
But
don't know if I could ever go to the bathroom in front of my friend like that. I don't think I could do it.
so this is where they meet Deb and Hilly, the blonde and the brunette that were with Max and Ian earlier.
Hmm.
Um, they get to talking with each other, and well, Deb and Hilly have seen Lisa earlier, and they saw her at the house and realized like, oh, if their two jerk boyfriends see it, like it's over. That's all they're gonna want to talk about. Blah blah blah. But they kind of once they meet Wyatt and Gary, there's a connection that starts forming, right? So Wyatt and Gary are like, okay, look, we're gonna go out. We're gonna try and have some fun. So they go out there. They're trying to have fun, but they link up with Max and Ian, and they're Max and Ian are trying to get Lisa off of Wyatt and Gary. But Wyatt and Gary can't and won't give up Lisa. But they convince them to make them their own version of Lisa. Um, which okay, I can kind of understand where they're coming from, right? Like, we did it once, maybe we can do it again, and you guys can have your own version of Lisa. And if it looks or acts anything like Lisa, I'm down for it. I'm 100% down for it. I would do it right now in a heartbeat. So they do. Lisa realizes what's going on. She's not very happy. She goes up there. She gets into him about it, and then tells him, "You forgot one very important thing. They forgot to connect the doll." So they had the electrodes landing. They were sitting on top of a Time or Life magazine that had a Pershing 2 medium range ballistic missile that all of a sudden comes up from the floor and is now in the middle of the house. What are your thoughts about a missile popping up in the middle of that?
Yeah, this was something that kind of, again, have to suspend the disbelief here.
Took a wide
Uh,
left hand turn here.
it does with this and with what Lisa pulls after this. But um, I my main thought was like, where is this gonna go? Like, are they gonna accidentally nuke a country? Like, I was worried here.
Uh, so at the same time this is happening, Wyatt's stuffy old grandparents who are having dinner at a restaurant decide they want to visit Wyatt because he's home alone for the weekend.
And nothing means more to him than his grandparents or whatever they say.
They are not happy at the fact that there's a wild party going on. She basically freezes them, puts them in a catatonic state, and then ends up hiding them in the kitchen cupboard. Um, Understandably, Wyatt is freaking out about the goddamn missile that is in the middle of his house right now, right? Like, this is one of those things, like, I think we've gone too far. Like, I can understand Wyatt's pretty wound pretty tight anyway. And I get that. I can understand that. I'm kind of the same way sometimes myself. But I don't think anybody can say he's overreacting at this one. Like,
No,
this is like, how do you even come back? Right?
you're wound up too tight, dude. It's like there's a missile in the middle of my freaking house right now.
So Lisa realizes, all right, I gotta fix these boys. She gets a gang of mutant bikers that crash the party.
This is the best medicine for the issues these boys have.
Uh so at some point they hide in the closet, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Lisa and her magic is controlling all this, so they break through the wall, okay, and pull them out of the closet.
Yeah.
Um, they embarrass them or whatever. Then they take Deb and Hilly hostage, and that's when Wyatt and Gary are like, "Look, we're probably gonna die anyway." He even asks them, "Are you ready to die?" Yeah, yeah. Um, so they stand up to these guys, right? Gary has the gun from earlier, which he knows is a water gun, but no one else knows is a water gun. Uh, Runs the bikers off. They save Deb and Hilly. Everyone's happy, right? Meanwhile, he's talking to Wyatt. He's waving the gun around and he's like, "Oh, it's a water gun." It shoots off a bullet. Somehow it wasn't a water gun anymore. Um, so, oh, we also forgot to mention somehow everything inside the house ended up outside the house. Piano, books, furniture,
Yeah,
bookshelf.
the piano player even loses her clothes and ends up outside the house.
Not totally nude. She only ends up topless because
Yes. Yeah.
I think that stopped it. Like, I was reading something like that might have stopped it from getting an R rating.
Yeah.
So
Because even in Airplane, when we saw that,
yeah,
that's a PG movie. There was boobs in that.
so
That was before PG-13 though, Airplane.
yeah,
But yeah,
because like I saw something and it was like, yeah, like her dress came off, her boots came off, so like all of her clothes should have came off in this gust of wind or whatever that was sucking everything out the house. But then it was like otherwise they probably would have had to get an R rating. They couldn't do that, so that's why her panties stayed. That
makes
was also
sense.
like a former Playboy playmate. playing the piano there. So the boys and girls fall in love. Everything's great. Cool. So Chet comes back the next morning. He went duck hunting. The house is a mess. There's all kind of shit outside. It's just a
Kitchen's
nightmare.
blue.
Yeah, we forgot the kitchen's blue somehow. He goes up to his room. It's a goddamn snowstorm in his room. Like, I'm not even joking when
Yes.
I say that. It's literally snowing in the room. He so he wakes up. He wakes everybody up. He's basically telling them like, there's no way they come back from this. He could beat the hell out of him. He finally meets Lisa, right? So Lisa gets the boys to take the girls home. So one takes the Porsche, the other one goes with a Ferrari that Lisa conjured up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Lisa is alone with Chet. So the boys are taking the girls home, right? Um, Gary in the Ferrari and his lovely young lady end up outrunning the police and running in front of a train to get on the other side of train tracks as it's coming so they can outrun the police. They drop the girls off home. Everybody's happy. Everybody's in love. Feelings are reciprocated. There's kissing. It's great. Chet and Lisa have some sort of a conversation. Lisa does not like how Chet has been treating Wyatt and Gary
Mm-hmm.
and what he's doing. And next thing you know, Lisa has turned him into a toad like creature. Horrible. He's oozing pus. It's just disgusting. Uh, Gary and Wyatt come in. Chet apologizes for his behavior and everything, right? Kind of makes amends with his younger brother. So the boys go upstairs because they realize they have to tell Lisa like they've fallen for other girls and they don't really want or need her anymore. Um, she tells them that's what she wanted from him in the first place, right? And she's happy, and she gives him a hug and a kiss goodbye, and smoke billows up. She disappears, and then the house starts coming back to normal, right? Everything starts going back inside, sliding back into place. Piano goes back up inside the chimney, goes back. Pillows come back. Chet turns back in from whatever the hell he was to whatever he's gonna to back to being Chet, right? Um, boy's parents walk in. Wyatt's parents walk in. Right as the last bit comes into place, asking what they did over the weekend, telling nothing. Blah blah blah. Wyatt's dad not up for the hugging though. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, this is very like what old school 80s. I feel like
Yeah,
where it's like, oh, we don't show
he's a boomer.
emotion.
He is a true boomer.
We don't say I love you to our kids, and we don't
Yeah,
hug them. It's very
he
much
know
what.
he knows I love him. I don't have to tell him stuff like that, right?
Right.
So next thing you know, we're back to Shermer High School. There's kids lining up in gym class in their uniform, and they have a new gym teacher, Lisa, the new gym teacher. And all the boys slap their heads and they faint because they have a smoking hot gym teacher who all of those boys would probably run a million miles and do a million push-ups for. And that's it. And then we get the theme song again.
Yeah. Much to Danny Elfman's delight, I guess.
All right, so let's talk about some other things. Uh okay, so Mitchell Smith stated he was overjoyed at the idea of continuing Gary and Wyatt's storyline for a sequel. I think this was in 2017. His idea is, quote, I love the idea of a sequel because I love the movie and I was happy to be a part of it. It does sound like fun, but I'm pretty busy as a college professor right now.
Wow,
It
he's a
would be a
college
matter,
professor.
he's still doing some acting, but I guess he's a college professor. It'd be a matter of seeing whether something like that could fit in my schedule. His favorite idea for Weird Science 2 would be one in which Wyatt and Gary are all grown up. They have daughters who find all their old stuff and probably hear stories about the time they made their own person. They get together and they make, who do you think they would make if they had teenage daughters?
Like a celebrity, you mean?
Yeah,
I don't know. This is 2017 that he was talking about this. So it would probably be like I don't know, like a Channing Tatum or something.
correctamundo.
Oh, I could see him doing it too because of like how he is in 21 Jump Street and stuff. Like I could totally see him.
They get together and make Channing Tatum. He then added, "I'll keep my fingers crossed for that movie to be made somehow." So there was something brought up. I want to say in like 2013 that they were going to make a Weird Science 2, but as development of movie goes, it kind of fell off the map. Who knows what's going to happen? They did make a television series at one point that lasted for a couple seasons. John Hughes wrote the script in only 2 days.
That's a very common John Hughes thing.
John Hughes was not happy during the filming of this movie because it interfered with another project he cared about a lot more, resulted in him working a punishing schedule for months. But he agreed to direct this movie because Universal gave him a deal where he could also direct the more valued project if he did this one first. What do you think the other film was?
Mm. Is it Ferris?
Breakfast Club.
Okay, so Breakfast Club was done first.
No, this was done first. Breakfast Club was the other movie he had his heart set on that he wanted to do. He made a deal with Universal. They said, if you direct this one, we'll let you make the Breakfast Club.
Yeah, but Breakfast Club released first, released in February. So I guess they filmed these out of order. I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and plus the Breakfast Club honestly takes place kind of in one location. Like
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
it it'd be a bottle episode if it was a TV show for the most part.
yeah. It
So
started filming March 28th, 1984. Breakfast Club. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know when this
Kelly
one filmed. So
Kelly LeBrock's character was inspired by the Apple computer's first GUI computer, the Apple Lisa. Shermer High School is also the name of the high school in the Breakfast Club. Um, did they say what the name of the high school in Ferris Bueller's Day Off was?
I'm pretty sure it's the same. I don't know. I can look real quick.
Anthony Michael Hall passed on starring in National Lampoon's European Vacation to be in this film. Um, he was in National Lampoon's Vacation, the original
Right.
one going to Wally World. Um, as a result, neither Russ nor his sister Audrey were ever played by the same actors from film to film until Dana Barron reprised her role of Audrey in Christmas Vacation 2 Cousin Eddie's Island Adventures that came out in 2003. And then that continued on because isn't Russ the main
He's the Ed Helms character in the new one.
in the most recent one that came out?
Yeah.
Were there any shout out? Did any of the original characters or anything appear in that movie or no? I haven't
I
seen it
haven't
yet.
seen that one. I don't know.
Okay,
I doubt it.
you never know.
I couldn't find the school name of Ferris on Wikipedia. I'm gonna look it up.
In the John Hughes documentary from 2009 called "Don't You Forget About Me," Kelly LeBrock describes her character Lisa as Mary Poppins with breasts.
It says Sherm. It says
Shermer High School.
yeah. Yep.
After being the lead in the hit movie of Weird Science and starring in other movies such as National Lampoon's Vacation, 16 Candles, and The Breakfast Club, Anthony Michael Hall chose to join the cast of Saturday Night Live. He did not stay for an entire season, neither did fellow Weird Science co star Robert Downey Jr.
I forgot that he was in SNL.
I remember Robert Downey Jr. was for like half a season or something, but I didn't know Anthony Michael Hall was.
Oh, I knew Anthony Michael Hall. I forgot about
Robert
RDJ.
Downey Jr. The
Yeah.
fourth and final collaboration of John Hughes and Anthony Michael Hall. So, Anthony Michael Hall he wanted to escape being typecast as the nerdy character. So he turned down the role of Ducky in Pretty in Pink. He also turned down the role of Cameron in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. This caused a rift. Hughes never offered him another script, and they didn't speak for like 20 some
Wow.
odd years after this.
Really?
So they did have a falling out. They didn't speak for several years after that. They did reconcile before John Hughes' death in 2009, but Anthony Michael Hall has always said that John Hughes treated him like a son. In a 2021 interview with the New York Post, Hall confirmed he and Hughes had a falling out because he turned down a role in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He stated he was trying to move forward and do new things, but he regretted the decision to not participate in the film. Hughes
I,
viewed Hall like a son, had a very close relationship with him, which made the falling out very difficult for Anthony Michael Hall.
I think Ferris Bueller is not as good of a movie if Anthony and Michael Hall is playing Cameron.
Oh, it's definitely a much different movie. It,
Yeah.
it, it I think the same thing probably with Pretty in Pink.
Yeah.
It's probably like, things happen for a reason, and sometimes you get a much better outcome.
Yeah.
Hall eventually reconciled with Hughes before his death in 2009. He recalled his last phone conversation with Hughes uh, when Hughes mentioned a possible Breakfast Club sequel. In the Breakfast Club sequel, he talked about the possibility of them being, I think this was in the 80s. He was talking about maybe them being in like their 20s or 30s and their kids, having something going.
I'm
Um,
okay with no sequel for Breakfast Club and for this movie. I think I'm okay with that.
I could, I could see now, um, and I think maybe now because Anthony Michael Hall and the other guy probably in like their 50s or 60s. I think maybe could be better because it could be something where it skips a generation. Maybe their kids didn't really do anything, but somehow their grandkids stumble upon their stuff. Hear these wild stories of like grandpa made a woman in the 80s or something,
Right.
and that's where you could get like a Channing Tatum or someone like that now where they try and create it. I think it could be interesting to see. Um,
My whole thing is I think sometimes these legacy sequels for some of this stuff, some of them have worked very, very well. I really loved Ghostbusters Afterlife. We actually did that in
yeah,
season one, right? We both gave that one like 5 stars. Great. But for me, I think that really worked because while it is like a continuation, it was also like a whole new location. It got them to not retread a lot of the same ground.
yeah,
The biggest question I would have with like a Breakfast Club too, if you're focusing on the other students and they're just like the parents that get called by the principal or they have to have like a sit down with their kids like, hey, we once did this. It's it's like how do we not just make the same movie again with like references to the originals? And I feel like that's something that like even if you did Weird Science and we're talking about the girls making a boy, it's almost like, oh, let's just make a gender swap version of it and call it a day.
I think with this it could be a little different because now they can either use a 3D printer, you have artificial intelligence, right? I think
It's like a chat bot. Yeah, it's
there's a lot of different ways that you can go with the updated technology that we have now that they didn't
yeah,
have
true.
in 1985. That could put a different spin on it. Yes, there's going to be some things that they may have to retread or shout out to some original things, and I get that. But I think maybe not the Breakfast Club because I mean, look, do they even do detention anymore? Or now they like,
Yeah, I have no clue.
I don't know, right? I've been out of school for like 30 years, 25, 30 years now. Like my 30th high school reunion is next year. I've been out of school for so
Yeah,
long. I
Casey
don't
was in the Breakfast Club. He was one of the club members.
like, but you know, even if they try to redo Ferris Bueller, like, yeah, that's just not gonna work. But with this new
What
technology,
season did we do Ferris? Season 1 or 2?
I think it was one.
Yeah, and we still have no update on that TV series or whatever it is
Oh,
for
about the two
the
dudes who took the
yeah.
car for yeah.
Still have no update on that.
Um, have you seen the Naked Gun yet?
I have not. I could not get the theaters for it, so I am now you can like buy it or rent it, but the rental price is still
Yeah,
insane. I'm probably gonna end up when it goes on Paramount.
yeah. When it pops up on streaming, check it out. I thought it was a decent legacy sequel. I think
See, I
they
don't
could
even know
continue
if
on
I
with it.
really. I mean, yes, I guess technically it's a legacy sequel, but like it's. I feel like you have a little bit more leeway for like those Naked Gun type movies because it is such
They're
a
so wacky anyway. Like you can get away with
exactly
so much stuff. It's you can go completely off the rails and just pop in a picture of Leslie Nielsen and say it's connected and you're good to go.
right. Yeah, I mean the last update we still have on this Ferris Bueller spinoff is 3 years old at this point. So
All right, so IMDb it got rated a 6.6 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes is 60% on the tomato meter, 69% on the popcorn meter. Oh, also one other thing that was somewhat problematic. Wyatt is 15 years old when he was kissing Lisa.
mm-hmm.
Um, that was like a legitimate real kiss on set. And they have both talked about, especially in the thing I saw, their like Comic Con thing or whatever. They talked about how, yeah, that definitely couldn't fly nowadays. Not just because of she's an actual adult and his character is 15, but because I think he was actually like 15 or 16 or something in the movie. Like the
Right.
actor actually was at the time, and
Yeah, a
she
lot
was an adult woman.
usually
Like that,
usually you have actors playing down their
yeah.
age, right? And the Hughes movies usually cast pretty on par with what age they are.
So that's another thing. That was the other thing that really a lot of people had some issues with. Um, I can and that's understandable. Once again, it was a different time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it, they did not have intimacy coordinators on set. They kind of went over
I mean,
and
that's
and
brand new, really. That's like
yeah, that's
COVID
within the last
time.
five or
Me too. Whatever.
that's within the
Hashtag me
last
too.
5 or 10 years. Plus, I don't think anybody was that concerned or bothered by a 15-year-old kissing an adult one. Once again, not saying it's right, but now had it been a 15-year-old girl kissing an adult man, yes, I think a lot of people would have been like, no, can't let it happen. But there is a difference, and so it is what it is. Metacritic, 8 critic reviews got a 46. Audience score was a 7.0. So for me, this definitely has a nostalgia tint to it. Like I'm not,
Mm-hmm.
I can't act like it doesn't. Um, like I said, I didn't see this in theaters, but I watched this probably on HBO. Saw it many times on like HBO. Saw it on VHS. I own it on disc right now. Um, Something I definitely enjoyed from that time period and of that ilk of a John Hughes movie. Um, I'd give this a 4.5 out of 5. It's something that's very enjoyable. But once again, I grew up with it. It's something I'm deeply attached to. I still have a crush on Kelly LeBrock to this very day, but I can understand why some people might not hold it in such high regard. It is considered a cult classic. I don't know what is an actual definition of a cult classic is. I also think this is one of those. Once again, it gets lost in the streaming aspect because
Yeah.
a TNT, a TBS, a Comedy Central, I can see it playing a lot on one of those stations during the day, during a Sunday. Maybe you're flipping through the channels when a baseball game's rained out, come across Weird Science. I might turn it on and watch the rest of it or check it out. But if it's not in front of me, I may not think to watch it. It may be something that slips my mind. So, what do you say, Jordan? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so this is one I'm a fan of Anthony Michael Hall. I actually was introduced to him through probably the USA Network TV series Dead Zone.
Okay.
As a kid, I watched that show a lot, and then it's like, oh, that's him in Breakfast Club, and um, so that was, and he's my favorite character in the Breakfast Club. I really enjoy his performance and everything. So I just wanted to get that out of the way before we get to um the movie here. Okay, so I gave this a 2.5 out of 5.
I had you giving it a 3.
I was between 2.5 and 3. I don't know what to rate it. I really didn't know much about this going into it, so I didn't really know what to expect, and I wanted to like it more than I did. I think because it's a John Hughes movie, but to me, it doesn't feel like his A game, right? Like when I think of John Hughes's A game, I'm thinking Breakfast Club and Ferris Bueller. Um, this is a little bit goofier than I anticipated. I think to the point where we have like Chet as one of the demon dogs from Ghostbusters at the end here. It's what he looked like when he's in that like whatever like pile of whatever monster he is. It kind of looks like the gatekeeper and stuff from
I am the
Ghostbusters.
gatekeeper.
So that was odd. I like I said, I cringed so much at the I don't know what we want to call it. Him, Anthony Michael Hall doing like jive or whatever he was trying to do an accent of or dialect of. Um,
Let me ask you this: do you think maybe had you seen this as a kid with some of his other stuff, you might think of it differently? Like
yeah,
maybe
yeah,
because
I think so.
because it's been 40 years and you're just now seeing it like from a different perspective, you don't enjoy it as much. But had you
Yeah,
seen it with
probably.
some of the other stuff?
And like I mentioned, like I was also, I think if I watched it when I was younger, I would identify more with Anthony Michael Hall and Mitchell Smith. I was almost more team parents this time around. Maybe it's because I'm a new father. I don't know, but I was like I said, I was so heartbroken by the one guy for getting his son. But then also, like, I feel like I don't like Lisa. All right. Like, yeah, she's gorgeous, but she is a bit of a troublemaker and thinks she knows what the boys need. And I guess at the end, it all works out. But I mean, the missile's not her fault. That's the boys' fault. Okay. But the Mad Max motorcycle gang coming through.
I'm glad you brought that up. That guy was the main guy was actually in Mad Max in
Yeah, so
almost the
which I was
same
reading here. I
exact
did not know that. I did
in
not know
almost the
that,
same
but
exact getup.
yeah, so that's pretty interesting. So that's a little reference there. Um, so I felt like it was just kind of oddly paced. I didn't really know where it was ever going to go, because they go to the bar, they come back home, right? Then they go to the mall, then they come back home for the party. You get one thing I think could have been cut because I was kind of sitting there wondering, like, oh, I thought this movie was wrapping up, but it seems like this is going to keep going. But then it ended. Was when Anthony Michael Hall is driving his girlfriend home and they evade the cop and they go through the train tracks.
Yeah.
That felt kind of pointless at a point. I was like, okay, nothing came of that, and then it was over. So I didn't really know
Other
why
than
that part was
just
in there.
escape, other than just the thrill ride of speeding through town on a Ferrari and escaping
Yeah,
the
it just
cops.
felt
That
like the
was it.
movie was like in the falling action, and then it was like, oh, action scene real quick, and then
Yeah,
back down.
I
So
can
I was
see that
kind of
they could have just showed him dropping her off. They didn't need to do that.
yes, because the main part that we're caring about at that point, I feel like, is
Their
uh
connection, their interaction.
their connection, and I think that's what worked really well for me. The kids were so good in this, and like I got the there were so many charming parts of the movie, right? When it is those teen awkward interactions, which I thought we were going to get more of than we did, I guess. Um, because like I said, I had no clue Lisa would have like these magic powers and be doing all this stuff. So I guess that's what kind of threw me for a loop. I had no clue what I was getting myself into with that. So I think if I was a kid and saw it, I'd be like, that's fun. But now I was, I had in my mind like people revere this movie. It's up there like Ferris. I love Ferris. Like, let's see it. And then I was kind of slightly disappointed in that regard.
So you know what? I'll agree with you on this. It's kind of the trailers and everything are kind of misleading with it. Kind of like how I brought up with Field of Dreams. I didn't know
Yes,
it was
yeah,
like a buddy road trip movie.
yeah. You think it's a
You just think it's about the baseball field and some other
Right.
stuff, but there's
If you
this
build
whole other stuff in the middle. Yeah, like yeah, you don't know. There's like basically it's like the genie from Aladdin. Like wait a minute, now she's got magic powers and she's yeah. It's
yeah,
I
yeah,
can kind of get that. Like the trailers don't tell the full story, but you know.
yeah. So that's what two and a five, 2.5. I think I could have rose it up to a 3. I was thinking about this during the movie. Sometimes I usually don't. But I was thinking about it during the movie. I was like, I could give this a 3, but then there was like certain things that just threw me for a loop, like uh like I said, the scene with the parents, the scene with the bike gang, that type of stuff where I was like, okay, this is I'm docking it a few points here. Um but yeah, so 2.5, which I was surprised by. I love John Hughes. So
Look,
kind of threw me for a loop.
not everything everybody does is a winner, though, right?
Yes, no, that is true.
Um, all of our favorite filmmakers and everything have things we've seen where it's like, oh, this is great. What the hell is that? And not
Yeah,
even necessarily you're saying what the hell is this, but like this doesn't necessarily match up with you know this other thing. But then you get like with the only exception I guess would be like Ryan Coogler, where even like his lowest rated movie on IMDb is like an 87, and I think it's Black Panther
right.
2.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
but like a high B plus, an A is his floor. Where you're like, Jesus Christ, man.
Exactly. All right, I have stats. If we're good to go to stats.
What do we got for stats?
So one thing I did not know until I was looking at this last night, while watching or after watching the movie, is what you mentioned at the top of the show. This is based off a comic book and a story in the comic book. So this is a +1 for adaptations. So we now have 13 movies that have been adaptations. Those are the Lord of the Rings trilogies. I've counted that as one. So we actually probably no, I think I counted each of those separately. 13 Ghosts is a remake. We have Scrooged, Into the Spider Verse, The Suicide Squad, Field of Dreams, Grease, True Lies, Casino Royale, L.A. Confidential, and Weird Science are our adaptations for films. Then, of course, there's adaptations for TV shows as well, which we had Buffy based off of a movie, um, the Office, which is an American version based off a UK show. Um, so that's what we have there for adaptations.
Bueller had a television adaptation.
Yeah, so I actually have this as franchise. This is also a +1 for franchise then because you said there's a TV show Weird Science. So +1. We have 20 franchises: Lord of the Rings, Terminator, Star Wars, Ghostbusters, Marvel, DC, Gladiator, because that has a sequel, Austin Powers, Spaceballs, because it's getting a sequel now. So I've went and added that. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, they have a TV show. True Lies, they have a TV show. Airplane had a sequel. Ferris had a TV show. Buffy is a franchise, right? They had spin-offs, they had comic
Comics,
books, they
and they're
have
getting
everything.
a reboot
Toys.
slash sequel TV show.
Right.
So,
Right. We have Grease, which had a sequel and a TV show.
there was a
James
Grease TV
Bond.
show.
Yeah. It got removed from Paramount Plus when they started. You know when channels started removing stuff not long after it premiered to get like tax credits or whatever. They
Yeah.
removed the TV shows, Pink Ladies or something. It was all about the
Oh,
they
okay,
played,
okay. No, I do remember hearing about the Pink Ladies
yeah.
TV show. I thought you were. I remember.
James Bond, X Files, Horrible Bosses, because that has a sequel. Final Destination, which by the way I'm caught up on now. Everybody, I've seen them all, so I did enjoy those. And Weird Science, which has a TV show. That's 20 franchises we've had.
I really loved the last Final Destination. That was
It was
so
good.
awesome,
It was
and
good.
it was a great way for Tony Todd to end everything. And I don't know, I don't think we talked about it, but the little speech that he gave.
Mm-hmm.
Spoiler alert for anybody who may not have seen it. It's on streaming right now. Check it out. But they had something written for Tony Todd, but when they saw him and he came in to do his work, they kind of realized he was having some health issues, and He may have explained to the director he didn't have
Because he
much
was
longer
very
left.
thin at that point.
He was gaunt at the time, so they took out what they wrote for him and let him basically write his own dialogue and have like whatever he said there was his own words
Mm.
as a final goodbye to the franchise and to his fans. So
We have no, it was a good movie. It was a good movie. I I don't think I forget where I ranked it. If people follow me on Letterbox, which is in the show notes there, you can find a link tree. It has my Letterbox thing. Casey's on there as well, so you can find him probably.
I got to update
Um,
my stuff. I think I got like
yeah.
2 movies on there.
But I've actually been going back and updating logging my views because you can change the date to when I saw a movie in theaters as well, like my first viewing of a movie. So I have like all the way back to like the 90s on my diary on Letterbox. But I have a list of the Final Destination ones. I can pull it up, I guess, but I'm pretty sure I still have the original as the best because I've seen some people say the new one was the best, but
I can understand that.
yeah, I have the original first and I have Bloodline second.
I can put either one of those. I could put either one of those top of my list. I thought they were both great movies.
Mm-hmm.
I think for something with Bloodline, something that it's been what 15 years since the last one came out,
Yeah.
and the last one was not very good.
And they're already starting the next one. Didn't we share that with each other? I think they said they're starting
Yeah,
another one.
but they did say it's going to be a couple years because like they're literally like just starting to write or
Yes.
come up
Yeah.
with ideas for the next one. So it's not going to be something like we see it next year.
No, no.
But I can see either Bloodlines or the first one being at the top of anybody's list. I wouldn't have an argument with either one of those. But I thought Bloodlines was done really well. Thought it told a great story. It made sense as much as a movie like Final Destination can make sense,
Right.
right? And like I said, it was a great goodbye to Tony Todd, and it gave. I don't know how they're going to continue the story, but it gave an out. It gave them an opportunity to continue the story
Yeah.
if they choose, if people can recognize it, because it's not something that everybody would look at and say, "Oh, okay, I get how they can continue the story."
Top directors, we have to give a +1 to John Hughes. So we've done 2 of his movies on the podcast, Ferris Bueller and Weird Science. He's tied with Jerry Zucker, who did Rat Race and Airplane, Richard Donner, who did Goonies and Scrooged, and Christopher Nolan, who did Interstellar and Inception. So those are the people we've done 2 movies of so far.
We've only got one with 3, right?
We have 2 with 3, actually. Peter Jackson, of course.
Jackson from the Lord of the Rings.
And James Cameron, Terminator, T2, and True Lies.
I forgot about that. Okay.
Yeah. Top actors. Arnold, still the king with 5. Sean Astin with 4. Those are the top 2. But we get a +1 here. He rises up to 3. Bill Paxton. He's been in Terminator, True Lies, and Weird Science. So Bill Paxton climbing the ranks. I think everybody else is a +1 here in this movie, which is I only count it really Anthony Michael Hall and Robert Downey Jr. because I only really feel like those 2 will be the ones that would pop up again. But I can always add the other ones.
I don't know if we're gonna see anybody from this movie in anything else other than maybe Anthony Michael Hall.
Right. So I added them on the list, but
I mean, if we get to like season 20 of this show, maybe we'll get to
20 years
like
from now, 17 years from now.
Because well, Kelly LeBrock was then a Steven Seagal movie, so if we get to like
makes sense.
If we get to like season 20 at some point, we might have to dig deep, and we might get to Steven Seagal movies, and we'll get another Kelly LeBrock. Or she was with Gene Wilder in a movie called The Woman in Red, so maybe one of those. But that's like
if we get to that, I'll add her to the list.
We're going way down. We're going way
down. We have genres. +1 for comedy. So we got 1.
What would you classify this as?
Comedy, yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 12, sorry. I almost just spoiled what next episode is. 12 comedies so far, and yes, I said 13, which means I'm about to say what my pick is. Here's our genres we have currently: documentary, comedy, action, horror, crime, thriller, adventure, fantasy, sci-fi, and musicals. Um, Stuff can go into different things as well. So I guess we could technically put it in fantasy sci-fi as well, but I think it's just more of a
Yeah,
coming of age comedy than
yeah.
anything
I
else.
would. Yes, I guess maybe there's some sci-fi elements to it, but I wouldn't classify it as like a fantasy or a sci-fi movie, personally.
Main characters' first names by letter. I'm adding 3 to this list. We have Gary Wallace. We
All right.
have Wyatt, last name Donnelly, and then of course we just have Lisa, no last name. So we have 4 L's. We have 3 W's. That's actually only our third W. And then for Gary, we have 4. 2 of those were Lord of the Rings characters, and the other one was Gwen Stacy. So actually, Gary is like their first like normal, normal name G that we've had in this run so far. I think that's all the stats. Yay. Okay. Well, anything else before I go ahead and share what's next?
No, no.
Okay, I'm really excited for this one because it is short. Okay, so if people are curious on this, but we are also a little behind the scenes action. We're recording these like back to back days. I didn't want to pick something super heavy, but this has been on my list for like uh I sent you like a picture of the album the one day. It was like, "Did you watch the Netflix of this?" And you said no. And I was like, "All right." I made it in my mind then that that was going to be it. And that episode's going to drop not long after the World Series is done. So it's actually going to be kind of timely. But we're doing The Lonely Island presents the Unauthorized Bash Brothers Experience. It's on Netflix. It is what they call a visual poem, kind of like Lemonade by Beyonce.
So I will say, I lived through the Bash Brothers.
I know. I think this is going to be great. And also, if you want to share, what's your experience with The Lonely Island or anything like that?
Uh, very little. It wasn't until I went through most of Brooklyn Nine-Nine,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually somehow on YouTube I came across a few of the Lonely Island shorts. Dick in a Box, Mother Lover, um, Three Way. I'm on a boat, right? Those. Um, you're muted. Um,
Oh, I was gonna say I love I'm on a boat.
uh, so I've seen a few of their musical things. It was pretty good. Um, but so the Bash Brothers was what, 88, 89, somewhere in that range. I want to say it was what, the 89 World Series. It's the one that had the earthquake in it, the
Yes.
the Giants and the A's.
Mm-hmm.
I lived through the Bash Brothers. I'll talk about this more next week or next time. But those two guys were the coolest MFers on the planet at the time. Like, it'll be interesting to see.
If you think they're cool now, wait until you see this.
But I mean, just the whole aspect of back then, baseball was so different. Usually, it
Yeah.
was you trying to hit for average, get on base, move people over, and then eventually knock them in. Um, we talked about before. Tony Gwynn, I think, struck out like 15 times in a season one time. Like,
Yeah,
that
he's
was
one
it
of the
for his
best.
entire season. He actually has more assists as a college basketball player at San Diego State than he does strikeouts in his Major League Baseball career.
That's crazy.
Um, and at the time, teams might have a home run hitter, but those home run hitters, uh, didn't really bat high. They probably batted like the 270 range because they either would strike out
And that's high
or hit
nowadays.
or hit a home run or a double. But
Yeah.
like, you know, it and you didn't have a lot of 50 home run hitters. You might have guys in the high 30s, 40, 45. Like hitting 50 home runs wasn't a big thing. I think there was like a 20 or 30-year period where they didn't have a 50 home run hitter in baseball for a while until like Cecil Fielder. I think he was the first for a long time, and it went
Mm.
back a few decades from when they had one. But yeah, like Canseco was dating Madonna. Um,
Yeah.
he was this tan, literally larger than life because I think he's like 6'3", 6'4", muscle bound, Greek goddess looking dude. McGuire wasn't that big. He was kind of skinny when he first came up.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you have any idea who's playing Jose Canseco in this?
oh, I thought it was a documentary type thing of like footage of them. I didn't know there were like other people playing it.
Oh, you
Um,
are in for all. No, this is okay. So it is the Lonely Island doing this. So this is all music.
who
Okay.
does what's his name play?
Andy Samberg plays Jose Canseco.
That's who I was thinking. Yeah, like yeah. Okay, I can see him playing
And
Canseco.
Akiva
And
Schaffer plays Mark McGuire. Um, and they both grew up in the Bay Area, so they were fans of the A's during this time as well.
I thought Sandberg grew up in New York City
No, he is from the
because
Bay Area.
Him and Chelsea Peretti were actually like grade school classmates.
No, he's from Berkeley, California. I'm not sure if he moved at a certain point, but the Lonely Island.
But double check where because I want to say I could have swore it, and maybe it's just a
Oh, she's
quote.
from Oakland. She's from Oakland, Chelsea Peretti. So
Okay,
makes
then
sense.
wow. But yeah, like there's pictures of them as kids, like grade school classmates or something.
Yeah, so they both grew up in that him and Akiva and Yorma, who is the third member of the Lonely Island. Both grew up. They all three grew up in that Bay Area, and they were Oakland A's fans. So unfortunately, Oakland no longer has the A's. Um, but I actually rewatched this last night after we were done Weird Science because I had time on my hands, and I was like, this would be the best time because I was very busy today, and I was very busy tomorrow. So I was like, I'm just gonna knock this out now, and I got my notes together and everything. So I'm ready and primed for this. But I want to set the stage for you because I don't think I did that correctly for Weird. Uh, it's more in line with that than any sort of documentary. So it is the Unauthorized. So it is not completely truthful. It is loosely based on the Bash Brothers of the 90s with Canseco and Mark McGuire being the main characters. And it's pretty much a musical, 30 minutes experience, like I said, visual album, where it goes through, I guess, 1988 and 1989 of their life. So there is references to some of that stuff you mentioned there that is in this thing, and it's just funny. The songs are good. They started working on it as like almost like a joke type thing, and then actually made it a thing for very little money that they made this for. So um, I saw it when it first came out in 2019. I listened to the album a lot. We'll be talking about that next week because it actually threw me off because this was actually only like the third time I've watched the actual thing on Netflix. Some of the songs are in different order on the album compared to the Netflix special. So I was like, did they cut a song? I was getting very worried. But um, just stick through to the credits too there as well. All right, there we go. The Unauthorized Bash Brothers Experience by the Lonely Island is our next pick. Uh, for that's on Netflix. It is a Netflix original there. But thank you all for watching or listening along with us as we talked Weird Science. And we will catch you next time when we talk Bash Brothers.